Hey everybody, welcome to Cupboard Creations. My name's Gareth, this is my little corner of the internet for playing with my food. Today I'm going to do something really simple, and this is my kind of basic beef stew recipe. Now, I kind of use this as a base. There will be so much in this you can change, but this gives you just that really lovely, full of flavour, kind of winter's dish. So we're going to get cracking straight away. We're going to start just by prepping all of our ingredients. And we've got a base here, classic base really, onions, celery and carrots. Now what we're going to do for this is we're going to keep it quite chunky. So you want 2 medium onions, and we're just going to peel them and then chop them into quarters. When I say quarters, of course I meant quarter of each half, so 8. But basically little bits like that. So when they're cooking down, you'll get these nice little lumps of veg in there. So there we go. Those are my onions. Nice and chunky still. We're going to do the same with the celery and the carrots. So just want 3 sticks of celery, and you're just, again, going to chop them really rough. So just kind of centimetre long little bits. So there we go, celery done. Now we're almost running out of space here, but we've got 2 carrots to do. So again, just going to peel these, probably cut them in half lengthways when they're about that size, and then again just chop them about the same size you chop the celery. So yeah, centimetre to 2 centimetre kind of lumps. Okay, so that's all my veg for this. Well, all my veg for now. That will give us that base. So now we can turn our attention to the meat. And what I've got here is 1 kilogram of kind of diced beef. Now, depending on where you shop, if you go to your butchers, you can kind of tailor what you want, which is great. I'm stuck with supermarkets. Unfortunately, over here at the moment, the supermarkets is like lean or nothing. So what I've done is I managed to get half a kilo of beef shin and half a kilo of lean beef. So the lean beef is always like a nicer cube, but the shin will break down and that will have a lot more flavour in it. That will just really add to that sauce, really give you something delicious. So there you go, kilo of cubed beef. And then what we're going to do is season that with a bit of salt and pepper. Be quite generous. Lots of black pepper, because I love black pepper. Now I've finally got a pepper grinder that works, which is great. And then 2 tablespoons of plain flour. So we're just going to pop those in there. Like so. Don't know why I put that back in there. And then just give that a mix around, get it all coated. And what that's going to do with that flour in there is that's going to kind of help thicken it. And the reason I'm putting it on the beef now is you'll get a nice crust to the beef then. And you always, when you're doing something like this, want to sear your meat off first. Because if you just chuck it in to any kind of liquid, it's just going to fall apart too easily. So that searing kind of gives it like a little armoured jacket. It'll kind of keep it all together. So there we go. That is lovely. So that's everything over here. Now we're going to pop over there and start searing off the beef. Great. So at your hob, got yourself a nice kind of casserole dish here. If you've got a really, really big one, this would be nice and easy for you. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to have to sear that beef off basically in sections. So you're never going to be able to get, if you stuck a whole kilo of beef just in a pan like this size, it's going to sit up too high. You're going to end up braising it almost, or just kind of stewing it. You don't want that. What we're looking for is to kind of get that little caramelized kind of armored jacket on the outside of bits. So we're just going to take it, fair bit at a time, probably a third at a time. Just pop them in. We're going to kind of cook them until they get this lovely kind of brown caramelizing bits on the outside. Don't worry if they stick to the pan, they probably will with the flour on there. That'll do for now. later on when we put all of those veg in, and when we put all of the liquids in to make that stew, it's going to lift all of that stuff off the bottom of the pan. Just add loads and loads and loads more flavour in. So a bit of sticking is good. Okay, so that's it. My beef's all done, all caramelised. Now I've just got a mess in the bottom of my pan. You know, there's definitely some burnt bits in there. Don't worry about that. Still all flavour. Now we're going to try and lift some of it off with the veg. So just turn it down, get a little bit more oil. You probably don't need a huge amount because there's still a bit left in the bottom. So maybe a tablespoon or so. And then just whack all your veg in. Like so. And then we're just gonna kind of fry that off really for about 5 minutes till you won't really see much difference. Some of the onion will start to kind of look a little more translucent. All we're doing really is sweating it down a bit, trying to start that lifting process, get all of those flavors combined. So, see you in 5. Excellent. So the veg has been going now for a couple of minutes. You'll see all like these little crusty bits off the bottom have kind of got around it. There's still quite a deep crust on the bottom of that pan. So what we can do is just deglaze it a little bit with our red wine. So about a glass, very small glass, because all you want to do is use it to lift that stuff off. Don't worry, we're not going to scrimp on the red wine in a bit. And then just give that a stir around. As it bubbles, it will start to lift more and more of that kind of crusted beef off the bottom. So now we literally put it all together. This is a nice and easy one pot, smack it all in, cook it. So beef goes back in, like so. Give that a good stir around and mix it. And then what we're going to add in is some herbs. And you can add whatever you like to this. If there's your favourite herbs, like if you like a bit of tarragon or something like that, whack it in. We're just going to add in quite a lot. So 2 teaspoons of basil. Always using dried for this one, just because it's easier. And I like the idea that this is a really kind of basic one that I can just put together with the stuff I've got in my cupboard. Hence the name of the channel. So we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of thyme. And then 2 teaspoons of oregano. Lovely. Then wine. So you used a little bit to deglaze. Now we're going to go all Keith Floyd. Well, actually a little bit further than Keith Floyd because I'm not going to keep any for myself. And that entire bottle is going in there. And that's where I kind of based this beef stew off, was like a beef bourguignon, where they really use a heavy red wine sauce, and it's just so much flavour. So many that just use a little bit of red and loads of water just don't really have that massive impact that I want. So full bottle of red's gone in there. I'm going to put a beef stock pot or stock cube, whatever you've got, pop that in, and then all you're going to do is top it up with water till it just hits the top of the beef and veg, so you get a nice kind of coating. There you go. So for me, that was about 250 ml. Now we're going to give that a good stir. Okay, and now that's going, we're just going to bring that up to a simmer. So we want to crank it up a little bit. You've got 2 ways of cooking this. You can leave it on the hob once it's simmering away, or whack it in the oven. If you're going to put it in the oven, now's a good time to turn your oven on. So you want your oven set about 150 degrees. So we're going to keep this low and slow. Perfect. And that is going to be perfect. So now you've got a choice. You can just lid on, keep it at that low simmer for 3 hours. Or if like me, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I'm never sure about leaving stuff just on the hob. So I like to just whack it in the oven because then I can just go off, do whatever I like, and forget about it. So we can pop that off, whack it in our oven, 150, same amount of time. 3 hours time, we'll come back to that, see what we got. See you in a bit. Fantastic, so welcome back. That stew's now been doing for 3 hours. All I'm doing now is I'm chopping some mushrooms to go in it. I absolutely love mushrooms with this. Yeah, that beef red wine mushrooms just really, really works together so well. So I've got 300 grams of chestnut mushrooms. I'm just going to quarter them and chop them into little lumps like that. Don't want them too small. And then they'll all be ready to put in there. Now at this point, if you don't like mushrooms, you can pretty much put anything in you like. You know, if you cut bits of potato down the same size, or celeriac or swede, you can pretty much put anything you like in there and make it a one-pot meal. I just love it with mushrooms, with a bit of mash on the side, soak up all that gravy. So I'm going to crack on with this, and we'll dump them in a second. But in the meantime, just want to say thanks very much for getting this far through the video. If you're enjoying it, please think, you know, if you could drop a subscribe or a like or something like that, would really help me just get these videos out to a wider audience. If not, still thank you so much for watching this far. So I'll catch you in a sec when we're ready to put these in. Okay, so let's have a look, see how this goes. There we go. Oh, that is heavy. Oh, lovely. Really kind of reduced down quite a bit. So just going to give that a stir. Still liquid in there. That'll be just enough. That's great. So now we can pop those mushrooms in, or whatever you fancied. Here we go. And of course one goes on the floor. Always does. Floor mushroom. So, stop eating, Gareth. Start talking. So now we're just going to stir those in, just like that. And then you can either pop it back in the oven, or if you've got a hot-proof dish like this, we can just whack that on, bring it back up to a simmer, don't touch that, it's still hot, and that will just cook those mushrooms. And that way we can do that for about half an hour, just simmering very gently away, and that will be done, be perfect. So I'll keep my eye on it, and I'll come back when it's all ready to serve up. Okay, so here we go. You've had half an hour. Let's double check. Oh, it's looking good. So for me, the liquid is now just where I want it. You know, it's reduced down probably about a third. But I quite like my stews to have quite a lot of liquid. It's that kind of graviness that just gives it all that warming feeling. If you want it a bit more reduced, just take your lid off, even if it's in the oven, and just basically keep cooking it until it goes down. I mean, when you're cooking for this amount of time, like the 3.5 hours or whatever it's going to take, an extra 10 minutes is not going to do anything to it. So we're pretty much ready to serve up now. So that's it. So we can flip that off and just grab ourselves a nice bowl. Lovely. That is a very, very warming looking stew. So there we go, and there you have it. That, if I can get the steam out of the way, is my beef stew. So nice and simple, really easy to make, and can be used really well as a base. So anything else you want to do to it, any other things you want to throw in there, just go for it. If you stick with that base, with that wine amounts and the herbs and stuff like that, you will always have a great stew. So if you do give it a go and you do change it around, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you do with it. And I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.